All right, I want to welcome everyone to our 2021 UK Entrepreneur Showcase. This is an annual event that we put on. It's a collaboration between the UK Office of Technology Commercialization and the UK Alumni Association. Last year, we were not able to have an entrepreneur showcase, so this is doubling up as a 2-year event, celebrating the last 2 years. But we're excited to welcome you all. Thanks for spending some time with us. It's going to be a fantastic hour and 15 minutes of presentations, learning, and rewarding successful entrepreneurial talent and experiences related and or affiliated with the university. University entrepreneurial spirit is perhaps higher now than it ever has been. And we know this because just across the country in general, entrepreneurship and startups continues to increase as related to and or incubated out of universities. We're at a point now where 1,200 new startup companies are incubated out of universities per year. And it's no different here, right here in Lexington at the University of Kentucky. We have incubated 20 new startup companies over the past 3 fiscal years. That's an increase of 33% over the prior 3 years. So momentum is as high as ever right here at UK as we look at entrepreneurial spirit and startup activity. We have examples right here in Lexington. If you're not familiar with companies like PowerTech Water and Hummingbird Nano, Seiko Wave and Mosquito Mate, and many others. These are companies that are all around us in the Lexington community that have incubated out of and or are affiliated with UK faculty, staff, students, and alumni. And that's what we're here to celebrate here today. We've been focusing and investing in this kind of activity, specifically through the Office of Technology Commercialization. Last year, for example, we launched a new accelerator program called Launch Blue, which is a premier regional accelerator that's providing coaching, mentorship, and access to entrepreneurship resources for startups all across the state. And that's been an incredible program right here in our community. We also launched just recently a new startup license program, and just frankly last month executed our first startup license under that program to a small company called Veriglow, a faculty founded startup with Dr. Luke Boatwright out of our College of Agriculture. One other very important new focus of ours has been on inclusive innovation and inclusive entrepreneurship. UK has been a partner in a new program called Engaging Researchers and Innovators for Commercialization at HBCUs, or Enrich. And we partnered with Jackson State University in Mississippi to ensure that we are being intentional about creating access to entrepreneurship pathways and coaching and learning. And we're proud of that program. Another similar program along those lines and in that focus is our Kentucky Commercialization Ventures program, another partnership of ours to ensure that all public institutions and community and technical colleges throughout the state are creating entrepreneurial and commercialization spirit and have access to a team that is dedicated to helping them create startup companies and spin out those kinds of ventures with innovations originating at those institutions. None of this would be possible without the fantastic support for this type of activity that we have here at UK. First from Dr. Lisa Cassis, our Vice President for Research, and also from our President, Eli Capilouto. They have been incredibly supportive of this kind of entrepreneurial spirit and an activity. And so our growth and this point of momentum that we'll celebrate today is certainly with kudos to them and their support. So with that, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, which is one of those people, our President, Eli Capilouto, who is going to introduce the person for which our Lifetime Achievement Award in Entrepreneurship is named, Dr. Lee Todd. Dr. Capilouto?
Ian, thank you. And I appreciate you reviewing those recent achievements and accomplishments. They live up to the rich legacy that Dr. Todd left us from his presidency, and the spirit within which you take this and the way we honor him with this naming, I think is a wonderful salute. Now, it's terrific, especially in the context of this pandemic, to pause and really celebrate two things that are at the heart of, I believe, the foundation of higher education. Number one, people, and number two, their ideas. We have seen the power of community and innovation most clearly as we navigated this pandemic. Our people and their creativity, their compassion and resolve, and I see it every day on this campus, have allowed us to quickly forge solutions to problems that we could have never even imagined before this virus started crossing our borders and transforming our way of life. From faculty and students in our College of Design who created innovative face masks, from faculty and students in our College of Engineering who created masks with membranes that could deactivate this virus, from faculty in multiple colleges across our university who were curious to know what is the optimal time that someone should be quarantined once they've been exposed to the virus. Early on, we thought it was 14 days. That discourages people from reporting who they may have exposed. It discourages people from cooperating when they have to be quarantined that long. We learned from our very rigorous research that 7 days would be adequate. That helped make this a safer community. We piloted or tested in multi-site clinical trials vaccines that are now in use today, and therapeutics to treat this virus to keep someone out of the hospital. So I believe the University of Kentucky has met this moment because of our people and their ideas. That's no surprise. It's who we are. That's been who we've been for more than 150 years. It's our promise to this Commonwealth. And central to all of this has been a dedication to research. And our research makes us the heartbeat of Kentucky's economy and an engine for workforce development. The patent portfolio that Ian made reference to, it's strong, it's diverse, and it mirrors some of Kentucky's strongest industries. We have drug development and design, energy, plant biotech, and equine health. We use innovative materials to better create medical devices, implants, and drug delivery systems. So this ingenuity of our faculty and staff brings these creative solutions to the market for public benefit and creates important 21st century jobs. And of course, every day, it may not be entirely visible to everyone, it helps transform Kentucky's economy. Listen to these numbers. UK's $430 million of funded research had a statewide economic impact of over $760 million in fiscal year 2019. It created some 5,000 jobs on this campus or helped support that many. And we created another 2,000 across the state because of that first $430 million that our faculty have to go out and compete amongst the best in the country to garner. This contribution, in my opinion, would not have been possible if it were not for President Lee Todd. He recognized early on in his academic career the indispensable role we play in discovery. And not only did he talk the talk, but he walked that talk. He continued to recognize as a faculty member at UK and as an entrepreneur. He went on to launch 2 companies that he sold, one Projectron and the other Databit. And he helped Lexington recognize that we could attract those top tech firms to our city. So Dr. Todd put us on this path to be one of the nation's leading research universities and a leader in how we think about commercializing this work. I hope Dr. Todd remembers a few years ago, I called him one evening. I'd been invited to Washington, D.C. just a few days before when we had learned that the University of Kentucky and the state of Kentucky had been one of the recipients of the Healing Communities Grant. This is a grant awarded to the University of Kentucky to work with state and community partners, funded by some $90 million from the National Institutes of Health, where we said we would reduce opioid deaths by 40% in 3 years. I told Dr. Todd as I reflected on all the researchers that had come together from 7 or 8 different colleges. There were scores of researchers that made us competitive. That I think nearly all of those people came to UK during his tenure, and I wanted him to know my thanks. And as I learned more and more why people came during that time, it was because Dr. Todd taught us how to dream through a top 20 business plan. And he helped recruit that talent, and those people's ideas today led us to success in that grant and so many more, and I thank you. And during his tenure, we built and expanded that entrepreneurial spirit, creating Coldstream Research Campus and further expanding Aztec for its creativity and its innovation as a place where those ideas could flourish. And we recently, following his legacy, we broke ground on what will soon become home for early stage high-tech companies from across Kentucky. This $15 million facility on UK's Coldstream Research Campus will offer these early stage companies office and laboratory space and an environment where they can further develop and commercialize their products and services. Because President Todd understood the promise of creativity, he lived up to that promise. We continue to push new boundaries today. So with gratitude and pride, it is my pleasure to welcome President Lee Todd. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, President Capilouto. It's just, you continue to amaze me how kind you are in your remarks about my presence. That doesn't always happen, as some will know. I really appreciate the continuous commitment that you've made to entrepreneurship on this campus. It's it's paying off. And now someday I think there should be an Eli Capilouto Survivorship Award named in your honor for the outstanding job that you and your staff have done in what must be the most unique period in higher education history. I never fail to get comments on how well the vaccination program is going over on the football stadium. People just are amazed. But the outreach that you're showing across this state is what's going to change this state. So I thank you so much, and wish we could spend more time together now that we can maybe all be vaccinated. I've been asked to say a few words about what the naming of this award for me means to me, and to announce this year's awardees. When I came back to Kentucky after graduate school, one of my major desires was to see if Kentucky's economy could be more competitive based on innovation and entrepreneurship. I kind of hate to say it, but that was 40 years ago. Nobody accused us of being real fast, but boy, we're getting there. Today, when I see what Ian and the Office of Technology Commercialization is doing, what Don Witt and the Alumni Association are doing to further that mission is really making me extremely gratified. I see what the faculty and the staff and the students are achieving, and it's very heartwarming, as you will see when you hear the speakers that are going to follow us a little bit later. So the transformation is happening. And to have the award of entrepreneurship named for me last year was icing on the cake. But this year, being here to announce the 2021 Award for Entrepreneurship makes that honor of my name being associated with this award even more meaningful, given the quality of the awardees that I'm very proud to announce at this time. It's truly an honor to announce the winner of the 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award for Entrepreneurship. Doctors Elaine and Mike Jacobson have been through an academic and entrepreneurial career that demonstrates the role that research universities, those who have an entrepreneurial spirit, what they can do to solve fundamental problems, to create commercial success, and to help this country remain competitive and excel in today's very competitive international economy. Elaine and Mike both hold PhD degrees from Kansas State University. In 1992, they joined the faculty at UK. Mike served as chairman of the Division of Medicinal Chemistry and Pharmaceuticals at the College of Pharmacy. And Elaine was on the faculty of the Center for Nutritional Sciences in the College of Health Sciences. And both of them were active members of the UK Marquis Cancer Center. And I'm sure they're pleased with that NCI designation that Eli received a few years ago. In 1998, while at UK, they founded Niagen and later the pharma division of that company. Niagen was located in the Aztec building that Eli just mentioned a moment ago, right in the center of our campus. Their research focused on understanding the roles of vitamin B3 and vitamin B3 derivative molecules in human health. Their research has been continuously funded by National Institute of Health for more than 40 years and has led to more than 150 publications and more than 25 patents. Their technology development was supported by the National Cancer Institute Rapid Access to Prevention Intervention Program named RAPID, and the NCI Small Business Innovation Research Grant, the SBIR grants, and they became one of the most commercially successful grants ever awarded by the NCI SBIR program. So congratulations for that. The Jacobsons' efforts to translate the knowledge of vitamin B3 function toward clinical applications led to the funding of Niagen into the development of novel compounds designed for topical delivery of the niacin form of vitamin B3, resulting in commercial skincare products that are currently marketed worldwide. The intellectual property was patented by UK, and this IP has generated the most gross revenue to the University of Kentucky of any licensed patent portfolio. In 2005, Myron and Elaine received the Roger J. Williams Award in Preventative Nutrition, an international award for the discovery of new roles of nutrition in human health. Then in 2011, Strivectin skin damage repair products based on technology that was developed by the Jacobsons received the Skin Sense Award from the Skin Cancer Foundation. And they received the Innovation in Dermatology Award from the Cosmetic Surgery Forum. In 2015, Mike received a Lifetime Research Achievement Award from the American Pharmaceutical Association. I can say a lot more about them. I would ask you to visit their website, the Niagen Pharma website. It's extremely well organized and tells you a lot about this couple. So it's truly an honor for me at this time to announce the selection of Elaine and Mike Jacobson to receive the 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award for Entrepreneurship at the University of Kentucky. Congratulations.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much, President Dr. Todd, for that kind introduction. We want you to know that we appreciate very much your career commitment to the generation, dissemination, and application of new knowledge, which benefits mankind within and far beyond the boundaries of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Mike and I would like to express our sincere appreciation for being honored with this very special award in your name. We have enjoyed a wonderful and fun journey that began at UK, working our way through each step of transitioning from professors to professor entrepreneurs. The learning curves were pretty steep, but the benefits we received by arriving about the time of the Aztec Commercialization Center that you mentioned earlier offered many, many advantages to us. The environment there offered the opportunity to interact with other faculty who were crawling the same set of stairs that we aspired to do in sharing these challenges of trying to sort of be dual career people. Before we speak briefly about the nature of the businesses we built, we'd like to acknowledge the contributions of many without whom this journey would not have been possible. While there is not time in this venue to recognize everyone that we would like, there are a few who deserve a shout out. Dean Jordan Cohen, College of Pharmacy, at the time of our arrival in Kentucky. Dr. David Watt, who was VP for Research. Dr. Geza Bruckner, Chairman of Clinical Nutrition, College of Health Sciences. And Dr. Bob Bluen, who was Assistant Dean for Research in the College of Pharmacy. Dr. Boyd Haley in the Department of Biochemistry, all worked very hard and long to recruit us to UK and to go through the arduous process of arranging for both our academic positions and facilities, as well as our entrepreneurial beginnings. These individuals saw the potential link with Mike and I's goals with that of the goals of the University of Kentucky that you see developing today. In Dr. Watt's case, a special thanks should be made for his role in making sure that the appropriate separation of academic and company activities was maintained, as he served as the oversight person for conflict of interest issues, as well as our data monitor. For those of you who know and have worked with him, you will smile as I say we requested that he assume these roles on our behalf, as everyone on campus knew that no one held a higher standard for integrity on these issues than Dr. Watt. In addition, without Dr. Joe Fink, who was serving as an administrator in Aztec and also in the College of Pharmacy, completion of a license agreement back in those days between UKRF and our investors might not have happened without his persistence. Last, but certainly not least, we acknowledge many, many, many undergraduate, graduate students, postdoctoral fellows, and research staff and faculty who contributed to the fundamental scientific knowledge and creative activities culminating in our company's success. A very special recognition goes to Russell and Donna Coyle, who have been with us for the entire journey. And the fun we have had with these individuals while we were all working our tails off is the best part of it all for us.
We would like to finish with just a few comments concerning the companies that we co-founded. Niadyne and Niadyne Pharma. The word niadyne, in our view, translates to niacin power. We have studied niacin, which is one of the forms of vitamin B3, our entire career, and have enjoyed being a part of discovering a whole new phase of niacin functions in health, one which places it at the center of current anti-aging research. Niadyne was initially focused to fill an unmet need in skin cancer prevention, as we were involved in discovering the role of niacin in DNA repair. We sometimes jokingly say, we felt that this is the case where you need to put your niacin where the sun does shine. But as often happens in research, the data leads one down completely unexpected additional paths than originally envisioned. And this led to the discovery of new roles of vitamin B3 in maintaining skin barrier integrity. This has very widespread applications in many dermatological diseases, as well as on oncology. And yes, also in skin aesthetics. The Niodine technology is currently widely available under the Strivectin brand of skincare products. The technological invention was really quite simple. Devising a way to deliver niacin topically in a way that eliminated the known side effects of vasodilation. So the message is creating useful applications that provide benefit to mankind is not always rocket science.
I would like to also at this time acknowledge our appreciation for the efforts of Dr. Scott Leppard, who joined the University of Kentucky after we had gone, and his work to further develop new professor entrepreneurs in that college. And we wish them a lot of success and thank them for naming a seminar series in after us. In addition, I would also like to thank the organizers of this event, Dr. Ian McClure and Jackie Green. And thank you once again for this honor. And we look forward to seeing you all live in the fall for a celebration. Thank you again.
Thank you, Elaine and Mike, for those great words, and we're happy to have you receive this award this year. We're going to move now quickly into our entrepreneurship presentations. We have a few fantastic ones lined up for you. And so with that, we'll just do a quick transition here and begin those rapid presentations, which is always one of my favorite parts of our UK Entrepreneur Showcase.
Good afternoon. I'm Gilson Capilouto, Professor Emerita in the College of Health Sciences, Department of Communication Sciences and Disorders. I am co-founder and Chief Clinical Officer of Infant Labs, a digital health company based in Atlanta, Georgia, and dedicated to neonatal and infant feeding growth and nutrition. Next. Feeding by mouth is the most complex behavior of the newborn, despite the fact that they make it look deceptively simple. The importance of safe and efficient oral feeding is underscored by the fact that it is a criterion for hospital discharge set by the American Academy of Pediatrics. The National Institutes of Health estimates that 1 in 4 infants are impacted by feeding challenges. The hardest hit, of course, being those babies born prematurely, followed by sick term infants, such as those with congenital heart disease and those born addicted to opioids. It's also estimated that about 25% of healthy term infants are impacted by feeding challenges. Traditionally, assessment for feeding problems has been achieved in one of 2 ways, either by simply observing the baby feeding at the breast or the bottle, or by placing a finger in the baby's mouth to determine what's happening as they suck. And care is based on either what we observe or what we feel. Next. Our flagship product is Infant Feeding Solution, an FDA-cleared, patented Class II medical device that measures tongue movement on a nipple and then streams the resulting waveforms wirelessly to a tablet in real time. This allows us to actually see what is happening as a baby is sucking, consider potential interventions that might improve sucking performance, institute those interventions, and then see instantaneously whether or not those interventions had a positive impact. We combine this with our infant analytics platform, which provides the healthcare team and the family insight into patient progress and a clear path to hospital discharge. Next. Since receiving FDA clearance in 2015, the focus of the company has been to establish the clinical evidence for our products. Consequently, we haven't had a national sales force in place. Despite that, our traction in the market has been significant. Our products can be found in every type of facility that serves neonates and infants with feeding challenges. Next. We also have a number of clinical research partners in notable children's hospitals, both here in the US and across the world, that are using our products to answer critical care questions related to neonatal feeding. This past year, we established a consumer presence and a brand recognition via our Amazon and Walmart online stores for bottle nipple sales. Next. Infant has points of care totaling over $1 billion with our primary markets in the neonatal intensive care unit, well baby nursery, and outpatient facility. But we see significant potential in the consumer market with our next generation NFS 2.0, which allows parents to monitor the growth and nutrition of their babies via their smartphone. Next. We clearly surpass our competition in a number of important ways: electronic medical record integration, ease of use, consumer applicability, post-acute care, and telehealth capability. Next. Our management team consists of Dr. Tommy Cunningham, co-founder and chief executive officer, and a graduate of the University of Kentucky. Myself, with over 30 years of experience and a key clinical researcher in infant and neonatal feeding, and Lou Malice, a medical device executive with 30 years of experience, over 30 years of experience in every aspect of the medical device space. Next. We're looking for a strategic partner for investment to help us get to the next level. Our primary goals are to build a national sales force, expand our consumer side, continue our next-gen product development, and advance our pipeline of R&D related to infant analytics and machine learning capability. Next. Independent researchers have demonstrated the need and efficacy of NFS, so Infant Labs is optimally positioned to raise capital and grow rapidly. Recent research from the National Institutes of Health cites oral feeding as the #1 barrier to hospital discharge, the #1 concern of parents, and the dire need for a metric-driven protocol such as NFS to reduce variability in feeding care practice. Next. In summary, Infant Labs is the strongest contender in a growing market focused on neonatal feeding. We maintain 100% rights to our current patents in the US, EU, China, and India. The work of the Infant Labs team has been recognized with numerous awards, including the 2017 Georgia Bio Award and 2018 finalist in the South by Southwest Impact Pediatric Competition. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me today. My name is James McCollum. I'm the Chief of Product at Synaptech. I'm going to start by giving you a little bit of background about myself, talk about how Synaptech came to be and what we're working on, and then give you a little bit of my take on my experience in the entrepreneurial space here in Central Kentucky. Next. So I never played NFL football, played a lot of football growing up, but I'm a huge Browns fan, and Synaptech is a concussion management platform. We'll get to that more later, but I'm still a little bit salty about this no call on this play, so I figured it was kind of germane to the topic at hand. My background in the technology space, specifically in Lexington, started in 2012. I'm a developer and designer and product manager by trade. I've always kind of worn a lot of hats, but ultimately I was extremely interested in getting into the startup space. Always had that entrepreneurial mindset and that drive to go into business for myself or with some co-founders. And nothing, through my time in the industry, nothing really piqued my interest, either to join or to kind of start my own ventures. So in 2018, I actually joined another local startup to kind of get my feet wet, so to speak, in the entrepreneurial space here in Lexington. Next. So I'll kind of touch on what SynapTech is and the background, kind of how it came to be. SynapTech is actually the brainchild of our CEO, Kate Van Pelt. She has a PhD studying concussions and has spent her whole career researching and trying to understand concussions and the best recovery models. But what she saw throughout that process was that clinicians really needed a lot of help in that space. The digital tools that were available to them were either not cutting it or just not really user focused in the way that they needed to be. So I actually train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with her husband and our chief operating officer, Doug Van Pelt. And so through some conversations with them and my background, was able to kind of fill a need from a technical co-founder role and come on to lead the product development and design and user experience efforts for SynapTech. Next. So a little bit about our traction. As I mentioned, Kate started SynapTech as kind of just an idea with a little bit of legs in the entrepreneurial bootcamp in 2018. We moved through a lot of customer discovery, joined the Launch Blue Accelerator in 2019, 2020-ish. And more recently, we've actually launched our pilot program with UK Healthcare. They're actually the clinician provider for a number of organizations around the state. We're specifically working with Georgetown College, Woodford County High School, and more recently Sayre in our pilot program. We've recently won an investment from the KY270 fund through the Bluegrass Angels and some other local investment vehicles. And here most recently our kind of biggest milestone has been joining the Awesome Inc. Fellowship. You can jump to the next one now, please. So I think, this is a good transition into, what is it like, but what's it been like being an entrepreneur in Lexington and in Central Kentucky? One, it's taken a lot of work. You can see from 2018 to 2020, especially being in such a regulated space like healthcare, technology, it's taken a lot of work. Neither Kate nor Doug nor myself come from a business background. So really the journey of building a startup is almost, we joke that it's almost like a crash course MBA, so to speak. But one thing that's been extremely helpful is being able to embrace the local resources that are available to us. The startup community in Lexington is phenomenal. The university is doing so many things to help bolster those efforts and really, bring as many opportunities as possible to the local entrepreneurial scene. It's very different working for a startup rather than building a startup. If I could give a piece of advice to anybody who is interested in joining a startup or building a startup is to do that, is to actually join a startup. We've got a lot of great companies around town, either locally or even in Louisville, the Cincinnati area. And they're looking for a lot of good talent. So, foster that skill set that you're looking to, that you gravitate towards, and look for opportunities. If you don't have that idea that you're ready to take to life, start with joining a startup and learning as much as absolutely possible. Connect with that network. Really, leverage all the meetups that happen around town. There's a ton through Awesome Inc. And the efforts that they're providing. The university has been, foundational in our growth, and all the opportunities that are available through the university are fantastic resources to leverage in this startup journey. But ultimately, I think becoming an entrepreneur really comes down to really understanding the problem that you're trying to solve. We're lucky in that Kate is a concussion expert. She's well respected in the field. And she really knows that problem that we're trying to solve. Where I don't come from the healthcare space or even the concussion space, I'm able to put a different spin on it from the technology and product and user experience focus. But ultimately, I think the most important thing is to deeply understand that problem and make sure that you're focusing on those users. Don't focus on your competition. The companies that really go out and succeed in the entrepreneurial space are the ones who are holistically focused on their users and the problem and adding value with their solution. Next slide, please. That's really all I got. Thank you, everybody.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tony Schmidt. I'm the CEO of GreekTrack. So I was a UK student, a computer science student, and I joined a co-ed community service organization called Alpha Phi Omega, and we started growing very quickly. I joined when there's only 15 members in our chapter, and when I graduated, there was 150. As you can imagine, there's a lot of information to store about all of your members, who's joined, who's paid dues, who's done their community service requirements for their membership requirements. And so all of these were stored in different Excel sheets at all the different officers, and none of them talked to each other. So as a software developer, I designed our chapter's new website to manage members, finances, and events. And that down the road would become the beginning of GreekTrack. And so here's a couple of early screenshots of how the students in the chapter would be able to manage their membership requirements, see how many meetings they've gone to, view the event calendar, sign up for more events, and pay their dues online. And so this software was excellent for our own chapter at the University of Kentucky. And at a regional conference, the EKU chapter said, "Oh, that's a really cool site. Where did you get it?" And I said, "Well, I actually made it. I can copy it for you." So I copied the folder, pasted, renamed it for EKU, and they were off to the races. And then a few months later, the chapter at U of L asked for it, and I said, "I can sell it to you." And so that was the first day of my business. I had no idea I was going to start a business, but over the next few years, chapters across the country started signing up and using the software that I wrote just for my own chapter to solve my own pain point. And that led to a huge growth in the business and sparked my interest in business itself. So, I was a computer science student, and now I was kind of entering into the world of entrepreneurship and the world of business itself. And the next slide should come up here in a second. Maybe it stopped. Basically I have phase one. It was my time at the University of Kentucky, where I had 200 chapters, 100K in revenue at a single national organization, my own fraternity. And to put that in perspective of the timeline, that was at the University of Kentucky. And while I was there, I was invited to pitch at Awesome Inc.'s 5 Across competition. And that was the first year they did the competition. And I ended up winning the year-end championship. And so that further solidified my idea of taking this, and it's not a little student project anymore, it's a full-on business. So I went to Case Western Reserve University to continue my education in entrepreneurship and business. And that's where I got my position at Microsoft as a program manager. So I flew out to Seattle. So to recap, and I wanted to continue to grow the business, even though I had a full-time job, and everyone was telling me, your system is perfect for student organizations and clubs, anybody who's got membership and needs to track, members and finances and dues. But that's not exactly how I wanted to grow it, because that is just growing too fast, right? The GreekTrack was the perfect tool for a very specific job. And that was, serving the Greek space, being a Greek chapter management system. So what I ended up doing was focusing on that. And that is investing into fraternities and sororities only, not all types of clubs. The second way I wanted to grow the organization was to look at what I have in my assets. And I had data from all of these chapters across the country from my own fraternity. And so what I did was started to build these dashboards on the national level, aggregating that data across all of the student clubs across the country. This live data coming from all of the individual chapters has never been seen before. And so then I started selling that data to my own regional and national staff. So to clean up this page a little bit, you can see I've grown the business across to individual chapters and up to headquarters and the headquarter executive staff. And so that comprises of GreekTrek, B2C and B2B business. And so that's where I decided to leave my job at Microsoft, come back to my home in Kentucky and pursue GreekTrek full time, where I'm entering phase 2, B2B business. The market space here is 250 Greek organizations, over 10,000 chapters amongst all those organizations, for a market cap of probably about 20 million. And that is where I'm at. I'm excited to announce that over the last 3 years since I've moved back to Kentucky, I have been able to double our size of the business and double the revenue as well. So this is an exciting time for GreekTrek, and I'm excited for all the opportunities available to startups here in Kentucky. And here's my contact information. I'd love to connect and meet you all. Thank you very much.
Okay, next slide. Okay. Okay. All right, thank you. Hi, my name is Luke Bradley, and I'd like to share with you a brief overview of our startup company, Avast Therapeutics. Next slide. Okay. Our vision at Avast is to develop lead small peptides from our work at the University of Kentucky as therapies that target mitochondrial diseases that impact the central nervous system and the entire body. Next slide, please. So CNS disorders are a massive unmet clinical need with an $800 billion a year cost on the healthcare system and an additional burden on caregivers and families. And so for most of these disorders like Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease, which are two of the most prevalent neurodegenerative diseases affecting millions of Americans, there is no cure. So while these disorders have many different differences, many of them involve dysfunctioning of the cell's powerhouse, the mitochondria. And in addition, the presence of the blood-brain barrier, which is a natural, highly protective and selective barrier to protect the brain from foreign molecules and pathogens. This hinders drug discovery, delivery, and development. So for example, some current strategies involve physically bypassing the blood-brain barrier through surgery, which isn't practical for widespread treatment and addressing this need. So ultimately, to address this unmet need to treat these disorders, non-invasive therapies are needed. Next slide, please. So our solution is based on our published and patented work at the University of Kentucky, in which we discovered a collection or a library of small peptide sequences that have shown anti-Parkinsonian effects. And we've demonstrated this in 2 different animal models. We've also demonstrated that our sequences, our candidate sequences, are able to enter the brain non-invasively and show evidence of target activation following intranasal delivery. So the published figure here on the left-hand side illustrates the broad distribution of one of our lead candidates, which is shown in the bright yellow and orange colors in this figure. And this is seen throughout the non-human primate brain within 1 hour of dosing. Furthermore, we've shown that these sequences uniquely target the mitochondria, which is adversely affected in many neurological and non-neurological diseases, thus providing us additional therapeutic opportunities for our candidates. So finally, due to their much smaller size, this facilitates their development and minimizes pitfalls in that development as compared to other biologics and biotherapeutics. Next slide, please. So our company's goal is to bridge this gap in the drug development pipeline between discovery from our laboratories at the UK on the left-hand side to human clinical trials. And through further developing and de-risking our platform technology, this puts us in a position for partnership or acquisition with a potential pharmaceutical company. So next slide. So our timeline is focused on continuing to develop our intellectual property by pursuing patent protection, continuing that with US and international patents, keep developing and de-risking our platform technology through experiments and data, and develop our business with support provided by our current fundraising, grants, and partnerships. And by addressing all of these areas collectively, lead candidates will be ultimately positioned to be advanced with multiple opportunities along this pathway for exits and partnerships. Next slide, please. So our team, we draw from over 120 years of collective experience in CNS drug discovery and development, including my colleagues at UK, Greg Gerhardt and Don Gash. And then we also have our fourth partner, Ray Bardis, who's a former pharmaceutical executive and the only member of the team with experience taking numerous CNS drugs completely through the FDA process to the marketplace. Next slide. So that is our company in a nutshell. And I appreciate this opportunity to share with you an overview of our company. And for more information, please email me at luke@avastrx.com. Thank you for your time.
Hi, everybody. I am Janelle Malloy. I'm a founder and owner of Wild Dog Physics. I have been a medical physicist for the past 30 years, and I was recruited to come down to the University of Kentucky back in 2008. I want to give a little shout out to Dr. Todd. It's so wonderful to see him on here because I remember when the Markey Cancer Center and Dr. Randall recruited me down here. The Top 20 by 2020 initiative was all over the map, and so I think that was a big part of the reason why the medical center got developed, and I got recruited down here. So it's been a wonderful time here. I served as director of medical physics there in radiation medicine for 12 years, and my company is motivated by pain points that I have personally endured for 30 years as a medical physicist. I also watched my staff endure for a long time. And that is that we spend a lot of time doing quality assurance on these radiation therapy machines that are used to treat cancer. And particularly in Kentucky, one of the other kind of heartbreaking pain points, to tell you the truth, is watching small clinics in rural settings in Kentucky try to serve their local cancer patients, but not having, a lot of them have the money and the will to produce radiation therapy, high-tech radiation therapy, but that one of the major barriers is recruiting medical physicists to do all this stuff. So my company is kind of born out of these pain points. Next slide, please. So called my company Wild Dog Physics. I love the wild cats, but I thought a little friendly jab there would be appropriate. Next slide. Okay, so the problem, we all know cancer is an awful disease. It's the second leading cause of death in the US, but many cancer patients are effectively treated with radiation. And the advanced technologies that we've seen over the last 5, 10, and 20 years play a major role in this. The big part of the problem there is that these technologies require a lot of quality assurance. In order to do this quality assurance, you need medical physicists. And these are people with graduate degrees, they're in short supply, and they are very expensive. Next slide. And so this has three negative results. One, it increased the cost of radiation therapy in terms of equipment and personnel. It's resource inefficient. And as I mentioned before, it denies access in rural and low resource settings. Next slide. From this company, our flagship product is something we call the QA Integrator. And it's basically a single device that consolidates all of the functionality of a whole bunch of other QA devices. It's novel, it's customer-led, and it's a good hardware and software solution. Next slide. Comparing it to our competition over there, if you look in the lower right-hand corner there, that's just kind of the beginning of the amount of equipment that has to get set up and torn down in order to do just a standard monthly quality assurance protocol on a linear accelerator. Ours, the QA Integrator, it's a single device. It enables a comprehensive data collection. It's more precise than anything else out there on the market. And it can reduce QA time from 8 hours down to 30 minutes with all of the data collection being automated. Next slide, please. Again, here's a comparison. Our QA Integrator is up there on the top. And of course, I'm going to put everything in green with yeses there. But if you look down all the columns in terms of the precision and just the functionality, no other vendor solutions can offer the complete package that we can. Next slide. So I've been working with OTC now for a couple of years, developing our business model. Our revenue is going to be based on hardware sales, service contracts, and potentially a subscription based service, which reduces barriers to entry and retains and grows our customer base. Next slide. We have done a thorough financial model of this. I was fortunate to be able to ask David Hassler to work with us on that. And we spent a lot of time validating our assumptions about the number of linear accelerators and what our potential growth might be over the years. And we expect, based on just our flagship device, that we could be a $25 million annual revenue company here in a couple of years. Next slide. Customer discovery. I basically spent the last 30 years doing customer discovery, but I've talked to a lot of people recently who are on board with being partners and customers with us on this. Next slide. I guess I'm not done with, but yeah, anyway, I think the last slide was my closeout slide, but I think I had our team on there. Anyway, I guess this is my last slide. Anyway, we have a website, Wild Dog Physics, and a great leadership team, and I look forward to talking to you there if we can. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, I am Don Witt, and I'll have the good fortune today of providing our closing remarks. And I think it's really fitting that as we reflect on today's speakers and the presentations and those who have joined us, if we really think about this is really a unique event today because we have 2 of UK's presidents out of only 12 presidents in the long history of UK joining us today. And that's pretty unique. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that we have the family members of UK's 5th president, Frank Dickey, also joining us today. And as I thought about closing remarks, I thought it would be very fitting to think about this entrepreneurial spirit that we see here at the University of Kentucky, and also this incredible legacy. So indulge me just for a few minutes. I thought it'd be a fun little history trip if we looked back on the presidents of UK, all 12, and how they have contributed to make UK what it is today. Our first president was James Patterson. He was president from 1869 to 1910. And he was from Glasgow, Scotland. And under Patterson's administration, some of the highlights, I'm just going to provide a few quick ones. He was UK's longest serving president, and he successfully defended state tax to support the University of Kentucky. And this is also when women were first admitted to UK. The next president was Henry Stites Barker, who was president of UK from 1911 to 1917. And some of his highlights, he established UK's graduate school, our School of Journalism, and the Student Government Association. The third president was Frank McVeigh, and he was president from 1917 to 1940. And under President McVeigh's leadership, he recruited better faculty to the university, enhanced our academic programs, and actually established UK's extension program. He built the student union and alumni gymnasium. Also, what's very fitting too, and I think especially during this time of COVID, this was during a time of the economic depression and World War I. And so very fitting that during these trying times, just as we see today with COVID, important leadership is needed more than ever before. The fourth president was Herman Lee Donovan, and he was from Mason County, Kentucky, and he was UK's president from 1941 to 1956. And he guided UK through World War II, the desegregation of the University of Kentucky. He also helped to establish the University Press and began plans for the UK Medical Center. Our fifth president was Frank Dickey, and he was president from 1956 to 1963. And under Dickey's administration, we saw rapid student enrollment growth, establishment of the UK Medical Center, the initial planning of UK's community college system, and also a new emphasis on international exchange and cooperation. The sixth president was John Oswald, and he was president from 1963 to 68. And under his leadership, we saw the integration of UK athletics, more academic freedom on campus, and more growth from our community college system. The seventh president was Albert Kirwan, and he was president from 1968 to 1969. And under his leadership, and this is interesting, probably especially interesting to President Capilouto, he actually helped save Maxwell Place from it being demolished. He also improved UK's town and gown relationships with the city of Lexington. UK's eighth president was Otis Singletary. He was born in Gulfport, Mississippi, and he was president from 1969 to 1987. And under his administration, the Kentucky Kernel becomes an independent newspaper. He also started UK's development program, the Markey Cancer Center, the Singletary Center for the Arts, the Gaines Center for the Humanities, and the Gluck Equine Research Center. Our ninth president was David Rozelle, and he was president from 1987 to 1989. And under his tenure, we really saw a transformation in regard to information technology and that infrastructure. The 10th president was Charles Wethington, and he was president from 1989 to 2001. And under his leadership, we saw the first comprehensive capital campaign and research challenge trust fund. We saw over 40 building projects on the UK campus, and also a focus on diversity and the commemoration of the 50th anniversary of desegregation at the University of Kentucky. Our 11th president is President Lee T. Todd Jr. He's from Arlington, Kentucky, and he was president from 2001 to 2011. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say I had the good fortune of being on the presidential search committee that actually helped bring President Todd to the University of Kentucky. And under his leadership, he had a focus on the Kentucky uglies, things that we really needed to address here in the state of Kentucky. We've already heard this mentioned several times. He had the top 20 by 2020 business plan, very unique in higher education, and really set us on this path that we see today. He also had support for Kentucky economic development and development of Coldstream Research Campus, and really statewide leadership for all levels of education. And then our current president, the 12th president of the University of Kentucky, is President Eli Capilouto. He became president in 2011 until today, of course. And he's born from Montgomery, Alabama. And under his tenure, we've really seen a radical transformation of the University of Kentucky. A new Gatton Student Center, new state-of-the-art residence halls, new living and learning programs, new residential dining facilities, a focus on student success and outcomes, significant enrollment growth, also a focus on diversity and conclusion. And all of this really represents a $2.6 billion transformation of UK's campus. So we've heard all the incredible speakers today with their innovation, their research, and their entrepreneurship. And that's really built on that foundation that we've seen from all of our predecessors and also our current president. So for all of us today, let's thank our presenters. Let's thank President Eli Capilouto. Let's thank President Lee Todd, Elaine and Myra Jacobson, Gilson Capilouto, James McCullum, Tony Schmidt, Luke Bradley, and Janelle Malloy. On behalf of the Office of Technology Commercialization, the Office of UK Philanthropy, and also the UK Alumni Association, we want to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you so much. And that brings to a close our program for today.
Thank you. Thank you.